Welcome, college basketball fans, to the Full Court Press Podcast with LT and Sammy D. This is the podcast that brings you legendary stories from college basketball's golden era and dives in deep with a current analysis of today's game. Get ready for the most energetic and entertaining college basketball podcast around. Let's get it.
Guess who's back? Back again. Billy's back. Tell a friend. Sammy D, we are back. It is summer school for the Full Court Press, a college basketball coaches show powered by the Full Court Network. Sammy D, I'm excited you're back in the flesh. I was worried about you. A lot of coaches talk shit about you that you weren't here, and you're here for this one. So we got a friend of the show and one of our favorites who's back on the head sideline of the head coach. We got Billy Donlon, Eastern Michigan University, new men's head basketball coach. Coach, welcome back to the Full Court Press.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for having me. It's always great to be back. Last time I saw you, Luke, was in a locker room after a loss. So hopefully when you come back and watch us, you'll bring some better luck.
Yeah, well, put it this way. If you
that was the last time. You didn't come to the ACC tournament, did you?
No, thank God, no. No, I was at the MAC tournament where you're at. So as long as you make the top 8, which is interesting, you got to play in to make your conference tournament. But Coach, really excited for you. I mean, your record speaks for itself. Head coach at Wright State. I think Sam, he's the only coach I know that actually consistently won at Kansas City. Where Sam's from. Sam's a Roo, born and raised.
I was a ball boy back at UMKC back in the day.
Oh, wow.
So we were winning back there. We had Tony Dumas, Ronnie Schmidt. It's good times back in the day.
Who was the coach back then?
I'd have to look. We went through a few coaches. But no, it's all good. It's all good. Coach, welcome back to the show, man. We're really excited to have you. And it's been really great to follow your career. And, I want to ask, why do you feel Eastern Michigan's a good step for you right now? Like where you're at in your career, what you accomplished at Clemson, getting back as a head coach, what was that thought process like?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's one that obviously my family, my wife, Melissa, is a really successful attorney. And what's great is she's actually the breadwinner, so I don't have to make decisions. Sam,
wouldn't that be nice, man? I shouldn't say that too loud.
My wife does very, very well, and I say that humbly, and because it's a tough time, right? And when I left UMKC, which I chose to do, I could have still been the head coach at Kansas City. I really went to help my closest friend in coaching, in Brad Brownell. His back was against the wall, and I say that happens to every coach. There's not a time where guys' backs aren't against the wall, with rare exception. And then we went on to have the best 4 years in the history of Clemson. And for me, I can lay my head on the pillow at night that a man since I was 18 years old, when he was my 25-year-old position coach, when I called him through tough times, my mother dying of breast cancer, my sister dying in a tragic accident, myself, a cancer survivor. Outside of my own family, Brad Brownell was always my first phone call, and he always picked up immediately. So here he is picking up the phone asking, hey, can we get the band back together? And probably if my wife wasn't successful, I wouldn't have been able to do it, and also if Melissa wasn't on board with moving our family, our young family, away from the Midwest to Clemson, South Carolina, which is an incredible place, incredible people. But you guys know, being Midwesterners, there's a difference between the Midwest and the South. And I don't say that in a negative way. It's just different.
Coach, I'm Canadian.
You live in Ohio, though.
Yeah. We're living in Ohio. So, and well, I don't know if you're hurting my point that you're from Canada. There's a big difference between Canada and the South and the Midwest. You might be making my point for me. But it's been a great 4-year run. Clemson's going to continue to do excellence. Coach Brownell is one of the very best in the country. And what we're finding out is now that everybody can pay the players legally, you're learning some of the guys that can really coach. And you're also learning about some guys that maybe were winning because they were winning doing untaught things. and now they're not winning as much.
They were trailblazers back in the day, Coach. Trailblazers.
So I'm glad that the country, I think the coaching profession knew exactly what a great coach Brad is.
Yeah, 100%.
And now it's being magnified because he's able to pursue the quality of player as well. And we've had really bad, the last 2 years, awful luck in the ACC tournament, season-ending injuries. And I don't want to take anything away from Iowa.
Yep.
We gave up 18 offensive rebounds, a season worst, to a team that didn't really offensive rebound. And I think if we had Carter Welling, that's different. I don't want to say we win the game. I don't want to take anything away from Ben and his team and Bennett Sturts and those guys, but it just sucks when you play all season and you have a season-ending injury to a starter 2 years in a row in the ACC tournament.
Yeah. Well, it also tells what you guys did, because you weren't in the upper echelons. We had this conversation, and it wasn't the locker room; it was the hallway, Coach.
You're right.
A little bit different there, but you guys were not in the upper echelon. You were more in the mid to bottom of NIL spend, and that really, for the ACC, which really tells you how good of a coach Coach Brownell is, and you guys as a staff, and the trust. I mean, you had retainment, like. When you don't, it's all about retainment and culture, and you guys were obviously doing it, and you guys won. I mean, he even told me, like, the team's maybe not one of your best, but they just grinded it out. They're just grinders, per se. So, being in the Midwest, growing up or going to college in your kind of neck of the woods where you grew up, being in the Midwest now for 20-something years, and Toronto's pretty much the Midwest anyway. There's always – I feel like Eastern Michigan is a sleeping giant. Just with the resources they have, the passion. I mean, George Gervin, the Iceman, one of the greatest, top 50 NBA players. You've had a current NFL star from Eastern Michigan. Was it really appealing? Was this kind of like something that you had to really discuss with Coach Brownell as a mentor, your wife, yourself, or was it like, what? I know a little bit about Eastern Michigan. This would be a really good job for me.
Well, I knew a lot about it because growing up, a couple things. One, Coach Braun, when he was the head coach here at Eastern Michigan.
Ben Braun.
His name is on the court. He led him to a Sweet 16. And obviously the other thing about Eastern, when Earl Boykins was here, great player, obviously, they ended Chris Collins' career at Duke in 95, 96. And obviously, as you know, Chris and I grew up in Northbrook relatively together.
Oh, yeah.
One of the greatest players in Illinois basketball history, and won Mr. Basketball, McDonald's All-American. And then what he's done at Northwestern is never – I don't know if it'll ever get duplicated or not. It hasn't been done before. But I love giving Chris a hard time. So I knew that Eastern Michigan beat him to end his career his senior year in the first round of the tournament, and had great familiarity with Eastern. And when I was at Wright State, Rob Murphy was the coach here, and we scrimmaged. And so – two of the best guards I've ever coached, Derek Walton at Michigan and Deshaun Wood at Wright State, who was Player of the Year in the Horizon League, are both Detroit guys. This is an incredibly good state for high school, for fertile recruiting. 100%. Great coaches in the state. I know, 100%. And I'm not saying it because I'm coaching at Eastern Michigan. You know me well enough. Illinois, Indiana gets a lot of credit, and they deserve it for their high school basketball and coaching, and so does Ohio. But I think Michigan, those four states, and Wisconsin and Iowa, these 6 states are really, really great basketball coaching, teaching, player developing states. And, we're 45 minutes to the Ohio border. Yep. We've got to do a great job recruiting the Michigan area, the Detroit area. But there's no doubt, obviously, having the Iceman, every player on our team will know the proper finger roll. And we'll watch highlights of Mr. Gervin, but there's no reason why we can't have success. And what I learned was from that first Zoom, President Kelly was on the Zoom. I've never experienced that where the president is on the first Zoom, and you could see the commitment that they want to win. And there's a great coach from the NAIA level in Indiana named Paul Patterson, who was the longtime coach, I think, at Marion, won 1,000 games. And Coach Patterson said, if a school hasn't won in a long time, it's not just because they've hired bad coaches. It also means the administration hasn't done it the way they should do it. And I don't think there's any doubt this administration wants to win. And so I really believe that I was coming at a good time.
Yeah. You should see if coach or if your president has any eligibility, throw him on the court.
He's about 6'7". I should.
Just saying. Hey, big men are expensive in the transfer and NIL era.
He looks to be in great shape, so I bet he can still play.
Yeah, absolutely. You should get Earl Boykins to send Chris Collins a 8x10 personalized to Chris.
Oh, Luke, I've got some stuff up my sleeve for Chris. I'm just saving it.
I love it.
Because Chris and John, Shire, every time those two guys, I see those guys, they always go like this to remind me that I'm the third best player in the history of our high school. So I got to find a way to get them somehow, some way.
Yeah, absolutely. You can always tell them you've won just as many national championships as a coach as they have.
Yeah, I don't know if I would do that because they both Chris has won a couple as an assistant. John won as a player. John won a high school state title. That's going to be a losing debate for me.
Yeah. You're a better defensive player anyway.
Yeah.
There you go. What are they? You talk a little bit about the perception of Eastern Michigan Eagles basketball. Can you talk about? What does that mean coming in as a new head coach, rebuilding a brand, right? And putting kind of your own stamp on what Eagles basketball is going to be meaning moving forward.
Yeah, I think as the head coach, I've got to show commitment to the kids we're recruiting. A lot of the recruiting has to be with a great staff, and I have a great staff. I've got to be I got to recruit like an assistant as the head coach. I think that's really important as we get started. Especially the guys that we believe are the primary guys, the primary players that we want to attack in recruiting. I've really got to do a great job there because no matter what, it's not about me. It's about the position of the head coach. And the position of the head coach, he tells who goes in the game, who comes out of the game, what offenses you're going to run. And so that relationship for young people, especially in today's climate, is so important. So I've got to do a really good job of letting the kids know that we're recruiting, that I'm going to recruit them. I think that's important. That's maybe can be a separator. I'm not the only person that recruits that way, but it can maybe be a separator. And then I just ask them, to close, like when they get here, I said, just close your eyes and imagine you're taking a Coke or Pepsi taste test and you don't know what you're drinking. We have our own practice facility. It's connected to the George Gervin Game Above Center. Our arena is second to none. It's as good as any in this conference. It's as good as nearly any one bid league, even though we got two this past year with Akron and Miami. And then our campus and our academics, the engineering program is top 50 in the country. Our school of education is top 100 in the country. There's a lot of great academic resources. And then the location, we're 25 minutes from the Detroit airport. So when we recruit nationally or international, it's easy in and out. And I'm not just saying it. I don't have a deal with them yet, but I happen to think Delta might be the best United American airline that we have, the best airline in the United States in Detroit.
Hey, it's better than Spirit.
Well, I'm not getting into that one. I'm not getting into that one, but I do think that location, the academic opportunity, the commitment from the university, and look, I use Miami of Ohio as an example. What Travis has done the last 2 years, remarkable, incredible to go undefeated through a regular season. But when he took Miami over, it had struggled for a while.
Absolutely.
It had struggled for a while. And
Absolutely.
I don't mean that any disrespect to the coaches before Travis.
No.
It's really hard to win in college basketball. And, I don't see why we can't take a big swing at it and try to get ourselves to the top of the league.
Yeah.
You talk about the relationship building piece of that, right? And then I know your introductory press conference, you talked about making this experience being transformational rather than transactional with your players and your roster, right? How do you maintain that philosophy, with current NIL and transfer portal? The kind of the legacy of a coach being a relationship builder, right? How does that still play in today's game?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I really believe it. We're living in a time where guys are getting paid, and I tell them, hey, I'm happy for you. I'm jealous because I think I would have made a little bit of money at UNC Wilmington, not a ton, but a little bit. And I hired John Bowler, who's in the Hall of Fame here at Eastern Michigan. He led the MAC in scoring and rebounding while he was here. He would have made a lot of money, 20 years ago. But I also just believe, look, we were all 18 to 22, and none of us at that age was ready to be real men in the real world. We still needed help from the adults. We still needed help from our professors, from our coaches. And I think that's really important. How do we do that? My door's always open. I'm around our players, not just during our practice hours. We spend an incredible amount of time together. We're going to eat breakfast as a team 5 days a week where we're all together, just breaking bread, busting each other's chops. But I think it's really important that you have a dialogue with your guys, and you have to have a dialogue with their people. I'll have conversations with their agents, with their parents, not about playing time, just check-ins. I think that's really important today's, 20 years ago, you'd never do that. You wouldn't have any. But I just think it's changed so much between having multiple, there's a lot of kids of divorce. And so now you have a mom and a dad that might have remarried. So now you have 4 parental influences in a young person's life. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but there's more voices. And I think there needs to be communication so that everybody knows. I think my greatest strength as a coach is the kids always know where they stand with me. Sometimes they don't like it, but they know where they stand. And I think the guys that I loved to play for were the guys where I knew where I stood. I didn't like the mind game guys. I didn't like the whispering coaches that would whisper one thing to one of my teammates and something else to another one of my teammates. I've dealt with those guys. Those guys are no fun. They're dishonest. They're not honest brokers. And so I always try with our players to be an honest broker, and I think they can sense that.
Yeah. So what would you say? You forgot the other 2 people. They're agents now, and they're AAU coaches.
Yeah, and they're trainers. They have trainers too.
Yeah. So we're up to 9.
And so there's a lot of different guys that potentially. And but as I explained to everybody, my job as the head coach, just like Coach Brownell's job and John Beeline's job and Chris Collins' job at Northwestern, is to always do what's best for Eastern Michigan University.
Yeah.
And the Eastern Michigan basketball program. And I do that to the best of my ability, and I don't play – my only favoritism is to what is the best for Eastern Michigan in winning.
Nice.
And so we do our best with that.
Nice. So how are you going to put together a non-conference schedule?
Oh, man. Well, one of the good things is you guys know the MAC, it's at 22 games this year.
Yeah.
So we don't have as many.
That's good.
And then we have the 2 – we're in the Sun Belt Challenge, so that gives us 2 more, so we're at 24. I don't want to say where because it's probably they'll probably want to announce it. We've got one bye game. We have one team that's going to buy us.
So you're going to either Duke or Northwestern?
No.
Or Clemson.
Who knows?
So we're trying to keep it. Well, I guess Northwestern could be. We're trying to keep everything within a bus ride. Try to save as much money as possible to put it back in the kitty for NIL and rev share. But yeah, we've got, we still got about 7 games we got to get. And it's a challenge because I don't think anybody truly knows anybody's roster for the most part, unless you talked about earlier retention. And I don't want to say where I had talked to a head coach at this level yesterday from a different league. He called about scheduling and he said, man, I got 11 games to get. And I couldn't imagine that right now, and obviously it's well documented with Travis in Miami last year, how hard it was for them to get games. And he went all summer into the early fall before committing to a schedule. It's a crazy time that way. And we'll just pound the pavement and try to get games that make sense for us.
Yeah. My 7th grade boys CYO basketball team might be able to help you out if you buy them some
Hey, when we're buying somebody, I got no problem. We're buying somebody to win a game. So if that means playing your 7th grade CYO team, I'm all for it.
There you go. Coach, you've got a reputation as being one of the best defensive-minded coaches in the country. Top-tier defensive efficiency when you're at Wright State, Kansas City. You brought that to Clemson. When you're looking for the pieces for your roster during this time of the year, like what are some of the non-negotiables you're looking for as you build that roster to kind of present that uncomfortable defensive system in the MAC?
What I try to explain to guys that play for us is on offense, fellas, there's a great amount of freedom, and I'm going to learn a lot from you guys. And I want you to be able to explore your games together, with a selflessness. But defense, fellas, it's basically, I'm open to suggestions. I really am. But the core of it, the base package of our defense, it's my way or the highway on that side of the ball. I'm very upfront about that in terms of the core, the basic, the foundation of it. And I tell everybody, you're gonna give me outliers, but the best defensive teams in the country are always at the top of their league, always, and they're almost always winning. The difference now is you can't just win in the 60s. You've got to be able to win games in the 80s if you want to be a championship level team. You've got to be able to do both, and we've got to be able to do both. Some years when I was a head coach, we could, and some years we couldn't. I've got to do better of getting our teams to be able to score more. But defensively, if you can't guard in today's game consistently, you're going to have a hard time being in the top of your league. And I think I've learned from great coaches on that side of the ball. I've learned from everybody. And I'm always doing my best to stay current. You've got to stay current. The game's changed. You know what worked 10 years ago defensively, 5 years ago defensively? Some of those things don't work anymore. But you've got to get a commitment from your players. And I do think on the defensive side of the ball, you know, you treat everybody fairly, but not everybody equally. Mm-hmm. You know, on defense, you treat everybody equally. You know, and they get that. So if a guy gives up a blow by and you take that guy out of the game for that, well, if the other guy happens to be your best player on offense and he gives up a blow by, you better take that guy out too. Mm-hmm. And I've always been willing to do that, and it's worked well. Hopefully it works well here. I haven't done it yet here, but those are some of the ways. And then I just also think there's an intensity to that side of the ball that kids understand. I think they get on defense, they're going to get coached hard on defense. I tell everybody, coming out of high school, I was an offensive player. I didn't want to play defense, you know, and then I learned that if I wanted to stay in the game and advance in my career, I better be able to guard people. Yeah. And so I think kids understand that. They just need to be reminded of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the truth right there.
Right.
That's the truth. All right, Stan, set it up for me. Let's go.
Yeah, Coach, we do a little thing called the shot clock. LT's going to fire off, 4, 5, 6 questions.
Hard ones last time.
These should be Luke's he's gonna switch it up. He's not gonna ask any of the same questions here, but we'll see what Luke has up his sleeve.
Yeah. All right, Coach. This is real simple. Okay. Favorite basketball movie?
You know what? I'm gonna go Hoop Dreams.
Yeah. Arthur Agee, maybe. Yeah, Gates, Arthur Agee, yeah. Did you know any of them? Did you know any of them?
I met them later in life, and obviously I played for the Chicago Demons and Vince Hill Carter, who's a legendary guy in Chicago. My dad grew up in New York City, which is different. You know, on one block you've got the Irish, the next block the Italians, the next block the Polish, the next block the African Americans, and they all came to the park and played basketball and got along together. And you know, in Chicago, it wasn't in the suburbs, it wasn't that way. So he took me into Cabrini Green to play for the Chicago Demons. And that's who I played for since the 7th grade, and Vince Carter. And Carter was close with those guys. And he really changed my life. Carter changed my life from that standpoint. I love that man. And not to take anything away from any of my other coaches, Dudley Brown, when I was a 6th, 7th, and 8th grader, I played in FAM, which is in Evanston, Illinois, the Fellowship of African American Men. I think Shire played in that league as well. But Dudley Brown changed my life. And then obviously my high school coach, Brian James, who went on to coach in the NBA. But yeah, I would say Hoop Dreams. Nice. But certainly, you know, from a fiction perspective, I'll probably go with Hoosiers.
Yeah.
I'll probably go with Hoosiers.
Yeah.
You didn't ask for both, but I gave both.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach. Thanks for listening to Roast Again. All right. Hardest place to win on the road?
Anywhere. No, it's Cameron's really hard. We got, I'll say it now because they can't find me, but we got cheated 2 years ago at Duke. You can watch the last 2 minutes of the game. Absolutely. It was awful. But that's part of it. What John has done, what Coach Shire has done there these last 4 years is remarkable, incredible. To go, I think 19-1 2 years in a row in the league is incredible. But Cameron's really hard. Purdue, I played at Purdue. That's as good of an environment as you'll see in basketball. And then way back in the day, obviously it's great now, but the Wisconsin's old place, was it the old barn? I played there as a player when Coach Bennett's second year. The building literally shook. It was like the old Chicago Stadium. It shook. So I played a lot of hard places. But certainly those are some that are Michigan State's really, really hard. They have some of the smartest student fans in the game. They get every team that is not in the Big Ten because they don't know it. They get every team to commit a shot clock violation. because of how they changed their countdowns with the ISZone and their kids. It's really remarkable.
Oh my God! All right, if not coaching or teaching, what would Billy Donlon be doing these days?
I'd be a lawyer. I'd join my wife's law firm. I'd go to law school, and I'd join my wife's law firm.
I like that. I like that. Weirdest thing you have ever eaten on a recruiting trip?
Oh man, this was at Kansas City. My first year, we went out to recruit a kid in Oregon, in the middle of nowhere in Oregon, and I'm not sure what they fed us, but they caught it that day. I don't know what it was. I ate it, but they caught it that day, and I'm still sitting here. It was actually really, really good. Whatever they marinated it with was tremendous. Yeah. But I don't know what we ate. It wasn't like steak. I can tell it wasn't. I don't know I don't know what it was, but it was tremendous. It could have been skunk for all I know, but it was great.
Was it land or sea?
Land.
Oh, okay. Wow. Cat really tastes good in Oregon, I hear. All right. Funniest player you've ever coached?
Man, that's a tough one. So I've been around some really, it's locker room. I've been around some really smart, quick-witted people. Victor Locken, most recently at Clemson 2 years ago, is hilarious, and he wants part of him wants to be a stand-up comedian. So he's always, and I mean that. Like, he'll tell you that isn't me being a jokester. And then I would tell you that Andrew Dockich was at Michigan as a player when I was there, and Andrew is sharp. He's quick.
Is he funnier than his dad?
I'm not getting into all that.
We've had Dan on the show.
Yeah, I'm not creating a family dissension. What I will say is Andrew's much better looking than his dad. I will say that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's safe. All right, 2 more questions. What is the most AAU parent moment you have ever witnessed?
My favorite moment, and this was a long time ago. This is 15 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe now. There was a kid who was, I forget what team. So I'll give you the good side of this. There was a player who was just not acting appropriately during the game, constantly talking to officials. They finally gave him a technical foul. The coach took him out, then put him back in, and the kid got called for a pretty physical foul. They didn't make it a flagrant or an intentional back then. But the mom came out of the stands and took him out of the game and took him home. Or I don't know if she took him home, but they left the facility. And I always was like, man, that is a lesson, because he wasn't behaving correctly, and as a parent, I thought that was tremendous, because I do think that level of discipline, that will be remembered by that young man, and hopefully that will change his behavior.
Yeah. You got to wonder where he ended up. So last question. You're sitting in the middle row of a 10-hour flight.
Yeah.
What 2 coaches would you have on each side of you for that flight?
Man, that's a great one. I wouldn't want it to be anybody that I know and have a relationship with. Because there's a chance Coach Brownell would slit my throat after 10 hours together, or Chris Collins and I, we would be fighting each other. No, but I don't want it to be, I don't know how you wouldn't say Kurt Signetti. How you couldn't pick his brain for 10 hours on an airplane with what he's done the last 2 years. It's arguably the greatest turnaround in the history of American sport. You can make the argument, and it might be the greatest one. So how you wouldn't want to sit down and listen to him for 10 hours talk about his philosophies. And then you said coach, and he considers himself a coach. I'm going to go with Tony Robbins.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And I think so. You get the basketball, and you kind of get the life coach, because that's become more and more important. The mental health, the mental approach to the game. So I think those would be the 2 guys I would pick currently, if I couldn't pick my wife.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's a safe answer, or one of us, of course.
I mean, talking about. Go ahead, Luke.
It's funny. I was fed Tony Robbins books as a child. My dad's big into that. It's great. But I always asked my dad once. He gave me all these success stories, but hasn't he been divorced like 9 times?
Yeah, I mean, some people are really good at helping others. You know, it doesn't mean they're like they help themselves. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
He's really good at helping others, and Lord knows I need help.
Yeah. All right, Sam, finish him off.
Well, talking about coaches, you know, I mean, you come from a really nice, reputable coaching pedigree, right? You know, your father, Bill Donlon Sr., you know, you've had him on a couple of your staffs in the past and whatnot. He coached with Patino during the Providence run, you know, like, have you gotten any like advice from him or anything as you've kind of stepped into this new role? And what was that like kind of growing up in that environment?
Yeah, it's funny. And I'm going to do it only came up because of this. So this past weekend, I was inducted. I'm going to do a humble brag. I was inducted into the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame for my playing days at Glenbrook North High School. I'm really proud of that. Right?
Time.
But my dad and I got to spend the weekend together. And, you know, I've been around so many great coaches recently. Coach Beeline, and I love this is, and I have a great respect for the European game, but I just want to remind everybody, John Beeline is the one who invented 5-out basketball.
Yep.
And made it what it is, not the Europeans. Yep. And the whole Spain ball screen, Dean Smith was running ball screen, back screen before any of us were alive. So I'm not questioning the ingenuity of European coaches. There's some great ones, but a lot of their ideas are ideas that they've taken and made bigger from great coaches here in the United States. And certainly Coach Beeline is the master of 5-out basketball. And almost anybody that runs 5-out basketball is stealing an idea or 2 or 3 or 10 from Coach Beeline. But my point is, you know, I told my dad, I said, you know, from a schematic standpoint, I haven't fully decided how I want to be as a coach when I coach them, because I think that the way we coached 10 years ago, I don't think that works anymore. And my dad just said, be careful. He just said, be careful, because you have really good strengths, your personality. I think people realize that you tell the truth. And he just said, be careful with whatever changes I make. But I also have to do a better job of allowing my assistants to coach. It's a great staff. Martin McGillen and I worked together for 5 years. He's as good as there is. Why he hasn't been a head coach, I don't know. But he helped Pat Kelsey get it rolling at Winthrop. He helped Griff Aldrich get it rolling at Longwood. He helped Brad Brownell and us together get it rolling at UNC Wilmington and Wright State. He's phenomenal. John Bowler, Hassan Nizam, Vince Fritz, whose dad, Ed Fritz, I'm sure you know, being from the Kansas City area, Sammy, and his mom. They both coached the McDonald's All-American games. And his uncle's Willie Fritz, the football coach at Houston.
Yeah.
So, like, Vince is phenomenal. I've got to do a really good job of delegating and allowing those guys the freedom to teach and coach. And so those are just some areas I talked about with my dad. And like anybody, because I worked for 3 guys whose integrity is really unquestioned, and Chris Collins and Brad Brownell and John Beeline, it's very, very important to me, beyond my own reputation, that we do things the right way here.
Yeah.
You know, what I don't like is I've seen media guys, and I respect so many of them. I've seen media guys, and I won't name the coaches, that said, well, guys were paying players 10 years ago, and now they're learning that it was okay, so maybe those guys were in the right. No, they weren't in the right. Even if the rules were wrong back then, they are the rules, and the job for all of us is to follow the rules. And it was a clear advantage to be paying guys 10 years ago over the guys that weren't paying them. So we should never reward people that weren't following the rules. Yeah. And I think that's really important as we move forward in our profession.
Yeah. Did you like the lastly, and not to take away from anything, but did you like the expansion of the NCAA tournament? I know it's not to your 96, but we're getting closer.
No, I want 128.
Oh, shit.
And I'm going to tell you why. Before everybody says Donlon's crazy, and yes, it comes from my own experience. I won 2 as a player. We won 2 regular season championships at UNC Wilmington, and we lost in 2 conference tournament championship games. We never went. I never went. And I would argue it's only one more round. So it goes from 128 to 64. We're talking one more round.
Yep.
What I want is every league gets 2 automatic qualifiers. And the league, just like they can today, they can determine how that gets decided. So if they want to do a regular season winner automatically gets in, and then the conference tournament winner automatically gets in, and then obviously if the regular season winner wins both, that league figures out who's their second team. But you can't tell me that the fandom, and everybody says that's too many, that's too much. Name me a time in the major American sports where enlarging the playoffs hasn't worked. And 30 years ago, it might be longer, when they wanted to add the wild card into Major League Baseball, all the traditionalists were, get off my lawn, I don't want a wild card. Well, guess what? It improved baseball. It improved its ratings. It improved the game. It made it more watchable. They expanded the NFL playoffs. They've expanded the NBA playoffs. There's no question that if you went to 128, it would create more fandom. The tournament would be more successful.
Yeah, and all you have to do is add more Dayton sites.
That's
you don't even have to add it a week.
Yeah, just add more Dayton sites, play one more. What I don't have a great solution for is how the seeding would work with 64 more teams. Sure. I need somebody smarter than me to do that.
Just ask the SEC; they'll do it for you.
No, I love it. Well, Coach, we're going to turn it over to you last minute of this episode. Anything you want to share with the Eastern Michigan fan base, alumni? In your press conference, you talked about your players waking up every day, soaring soaring like an eagle. Like what does that mean? Like what will Eastern Michigan basketball look like this next season?
Well, I appreciate that question, and I know that Eastern hasn't been consistently good. Every coach that's been here has had a great season or two, but it's been really hard to be consistently good since the Coach Braun days, and that's our standard. We want to be consistently good in this league, competing for championships like all the other teams in the league. And I would tell our fans that, first of all, our practices are open. They're welcome to come to practices.
Be careful.
We need their support. We're not going to win without their support. Certainly Game Above, I don't know how much, it's the George Gervin Game Above Center, and Game Above is a group of former Eastern Michigan graduates, and what they've done for the entire university. It's the Game Above College of Engineering. What those people have done, men and women have done to help promote the university. Our golf program, our women's golf program is ranked 19th in the country. They're in the NCAA tournament. I think they're in Tallahassee as the 5 seed. And Game Above has a lot to do with that success with the coaches and the athletes. And so we need their support. We need all kinds of support to win, but I know if we get it, we will. And I have experience. I'll just say this. When I went to UNC Wilmington as a player, they never won a championship in any sport. And then slowly that place, now everybody's heard of UNC Wilmington. When I went to Wright State as an assistant, they'd been a Division I program for 20 years. They finished third one time in 20 years. That was their best finish in the regular season. We finished third or better 7 out of 10 years. Now it's a place you should never lose at. It's a great opportunity there. And that's my goal here. And we were building that at Kansas City.
Yeah, for sure.
We were going to do that at Kansas City. So I don't have any doubt with this staff and President Kelly and Scott Weatherby's support and the administration that we're going to get it done. I've got great confidence in our ability to get it done, but it's not going to be a linear rise. There'll be some dips during the climb. If mountains were smooth, nobody could climb them. It'll be rocky. There'll be some tough times, but we'll get through it.
Sam, I'm ready to just run up to Ypsilanti, man. I love it. We love it, Coach. We love it, Coach. You're going to stick on for one more second as we upload. Check out the Eagles of Eastern Michigan, Coach Donlon era. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, and Sam, as and Coach Donlon will soon find out, I'm a big fan of the MAC. I live in MAC country, so definitely we'll be able to see a couple times, and I'll be up at Ypsilanti to check out this, fancy center and stuff like that, free practice and all this stuff. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the Full Court Press, a college basketball coaches show. We'll be back next week. Hopefully Samuel will be joining us this time again.